All right. Wala na. Okay, let us start. Start with the taking of asking for forgiveness. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bante buri panya tathagata kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame sangha supatipana anuttara sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang paripunang panatipata veramani sikkhapadang sammadiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang sammadiyami. Abramacharya veramani sikkhapadang sammadiyami. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang sammadiyami. Sura meraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang sammadiyami. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang sammadiyami. Nacha, Gita, Vadita, Visukadasana, Malaganda, Vilepana, Dharana, Mandana, Vibhusanatana, Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Uchasayana, Mahasayana, Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapalanyana Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta Sadhu. Let us start with some guided meditation before we start the Dhamma talk. We'll do metta. When we sit here, relax the body, all the tiredness, all the tension, all the thoughts and thinking, and we let it all go. We keep the mind calm and peaceful. Relax from top of the head. Relax the forehead, slowly down the neck and shoulders, the chest, stomach area, to the spine, to the buttocks, to the thighs and knees. May I be free. May I be free from all kinds of harm and danger. May I be free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering. May I be peaceful. May I be well and healthy. May I truly be happy. May I be free from all kinds of harm and danger. Free from all mental suffering. Free from all physical suffering. May I be peaceful. May I be well. May I truly be happy. Now let us spread the metta, spread our loving kindness to all the beings around here. To the monks and teachers, nuns and yogis, to all the volunteers, helpers, to all the guardian devas of this center, to all other devas residing around here, to all the petas, to all the unfortunate spirits, and to all the animals, big or small, seen or unseen. May all of us here be free from all kinds of harm and danger, free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering. May all of us here be peaceful, be happy, may all of us here be free from all kinds of harm and danger, free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering, may all be peaceful, be well, be healthy, and may all of us here truly be happy. Now let us spread our goodwill, good thoughts to all the beings in this country. May they be humans or non-humans, devas or petas, animals big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all of us here, may all of us here be free from all kinds of harm and danger. May all of us free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering. May all of us be peaceful, able to live in harmony with oneself and another. May all of us be well, be healthy, and truly be happy. But let us spread further. Let us spread our metta to all the beings in this world. May they be our loved ones, near or far away, or those people whom we do not know, wherever they are, or to those or to those whom we dislike, or those who dislike us. To all the guardian devas of the sasana, to all other devas residing in this world, and to all the petas and all the animals, big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all of us here be free from all kinds of harm and danger, free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering. May all beings in this world able to live in peace and not in war, live with kindness and compassion and not in cruelty or violence. May all beings be well. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be well. And may all beings in this world truly be happy. And let us spread the metta. Let us spread the metta to all beings without exception. To all beings without exception, without boundary, without conditions. All beings in this universe or universes. All beings from the highest planes of existence down to the lowest planes of existence. And all beings in all the world systems. May all beings without exception be free from all kinds of harm and danger, free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be well and healthy. May all beings truly be happy. May all beings be free from all kinds of harm and danger, free from all mental suffering, free from all physical suffering. May all beings be peaceful. May they be well. And may all beings truly be happy. May all beings without exception, may they all be well, be peaceful, and truly be happy. Now let us come back again to our body. Let go of the metta. Bring the attention back to the rising and falling of the abdomen. Feel the body. Feel the sensation of the body being here and now. And then we can slowly open our eyes. Give me a minute now. All right. Okay. Now, okay. Where were we? We at sitting meditation. Huh? Now, in these coming months, I don't know what to dig out to talk. But eventually, we'll survive. Anyway, the first thing for us to come to retreat now is what we cannot really achieve at home is some of the qualities of the mind that we need to develop. Without it, wherever you go, if the mind is that certain qualities of the mind is not developed, then our meditation or our lives is neither here nor there. In fact, not only here nor there, in fact, we'll do a lot of unwholesome things, unwholesome actions. Then with those unwholesome actions, unwholesome thoughts, speech, then it will give rise to all kinds of unhappy resultant. Then we're reborn in all kinds of terrible, terrible places. But as a human being, when we have this quality, when we are endowed with these qualities, the quality that means you are healthy, these factors that you are healthy, the factor that your mind is able to have certain intelligence, that you can able to understand. You endowed with certain financial stability, perhaps. You endowed with the right conditions. So when we have those things, then it's a wise that as lay devotees or monks or nuns, we take up the opportunity to truly develop the mind. And we cannot do this development of the mind just at home. Because if we think that we can develop the mind at home, then we don't have to come for a retreat. So in a retreat, there is a certain, it creates certain condition so that you can have those clarity of the mind, deepening of the minds or mental states. Now the Buddha talked about the 7 factors of enlightenment. There are 7 factors of enlightenment, which factors for enlightenment, for the sake of liberation, for the sake of getting out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. So what are the 7 factors? Now the first factor is this, the mindfulness as a factor of enlightenment. Mindfulness. Second one is the investigation of Dhamma, right? Second one is the investigation of Dhamma. The third one is effort. Third one is effort. Mental effort here. And the fourth one is joy, or zest. The Pali word is piti, P-I-T-I. Then the fifth one is tranquility. Tranquility of the mind. Then the sixth is concentration, or one-pointedness. And then the seventh one, equanimity. Now the first one is sati. When we talk about 7 factors of enlightenment, we develop these qualities of the mind for the sake of enlightenment. If you do it right now. But the problem with us nowadays, especially nowadays, where in the modern times, where we all rojak the mindfulness. Put it this way. We really mix up the whole mindfulness and it becomes mindfulness, but not for enlightenment anymore. Right? And sometimes, not only that, sometimes there are people who says that you develop that quality of mindfulness for enlightenment, the 7 factors of enlightenment, so that you can bring it home to have a better life. Do you see a difference here? So you see, what's wrong with it? Have a better life. After all, you are kinder. After all, you're more compassionate. After all, you're more clearer. After all, you're less anger. But again, that is about all, for them. The whole purpose to develop the quality, not for enlightenment, but just for a better, happier life every day. Yeah. Then when you have that happier life, you still come back to meditate. Yeah. So the purpose has to be very clear. In this development of vipassana, satipatthana here, or the 7 factors of enlightenment, is for the purpose of enlightenment. And I have to drive this into you, even right in the beginning of the practice. Because that a lot of times, yogis have no direction. Clear direction. They come to meditate just because, like what I said just now, happier life. Why? You want to have a more comfortable life, less anger, less anxiety, less all problems, not less depression, less this and less that. But enlightenment, mind. What for? Enlightenment. Song mà okay lo. Every day go life from one day after another day. Everything is good, What for enlightenment? Yeah. But the problem is that when we reborn again and again and again, then suffering follows. If you're a little anxiety, little depression, little sickness here and there, even your cancer, let's say, honestly speaking, it's a very minor thing compared to when you have to reborn as a animal. Don't look at your pet. Your pet is really, really out of this one. But there are multitude of animals are really, really in a bad situation. Your pet, you pampered until, ayo. That one I cannot discern. But the thing is that all other animals are not in that situation. They're not in that situation. It's not in that uh, where the happier situation. Reborn in those times, then when you if that time as an animal, then you remember back into your human life. Oh, that time I've got cancer. It's much more better that time when you have cancer compared to when you were reborn in all these type of things. I know it's painful. I know those cancer and the life-threatening diseases, those are terrible things. I acknowledge that, not to say I don't acknowledge it. But comparatively to all kinds of uh, of rebirth out there, it's way much worse, way much worse. So now, now the thing is that when we develop this satipatthana, so that when we have this, at least when we have enlightenment, mm, truly when the mind truly develops into maturity, then we can able to stop this cycle of birth and rebirth. At least we can stop it, or we reduce it, or there will be a full stop in few more lives to come. At least, if not, if not, we'll just carry on and on and on and on in this cycle of birth and rebirth. Those is where the Buddha thought that when you come to this vipassana, it is for the sake of that enlightenment. And that has to be very clear to the yogis. You may come from different background. You may come from a different beliefs. You may not even be a Buddhist also. But if you don't have that purpose, that clear purpose, what will happen to the yogis is this, is that sooner or later, halfway around the practice, you will fall out from the practice. Because the practice is really challenging. You will fall out from it. You'll fall out because there are all kinds of challenges like pain, like your defilements of your mind, like your chattering non-stop, or your unwholesome mind, or even like your tension that's going to develop. All kinds of things is going to come to every yogi. It will come to every yogi. So it's a matter of fact that it's a matter of whether you can withstand it and push through it. If you cannot, it's just like the filter, it will filter you out. If you're pure enough, then you pass through. So one of the thing to help the yogi to pull through is to have the clear purpose and why you are doing this meditation here. So with that, at least when you have a clear purpose for the enlightenment, then we develop the qualities that to support for this enlightenment, for this purpose. So when you come to the first quality to develop, and the first quality has to develop first, which is the mindfulness before everything else. Before everything else. And that this quality is the quality of mindfulness. Now, the quality of this mindfulness, when we look at mental development, we cannot just simply suka. You want to develop this, you want to develop that, you want to develop this and that. Cannot. You will have a lot of problem. We're going to have a lot of problem. One of the problem is that if you develop it wrongly, is that the Cantonese used to say what? 走火入魔. And this is very real. This is very real. Not to say it's not real. Because the one quality, if you have, This mindfulness, you cannot have all this type of problem. In fact, you will just go forward, you'll progress in any form of meditation, in fact. But if you're missing this quality of this mindfulness, then all form of meditation, whether it's going to be Buddhist or non-Buddhist meditation, you're going to have a big problem because of lacking of that mindfulness. Mindfulness, the quality of this mindfulness, it is a wholesome mental quality of the mind. It's a wholesome mental quality. So that means whenever there is an wholesome mental state, it produces wholesome resultant. Even you sit down there and you don't do any dana or sila or anything, just by having that mindfulness, the mind already produce wholesome mental wholesome mental thoughts. Not thoughts, wholesome mental qualities. Just by developing it, then the mind becomes wholesome. So that wholesomeness, it protects the mind from going into unwholesomeness. And it protects the mind from going into all kinds of delusion, all kinds of imagination, all kinds of wrong thinking, wrong view, and so on. Because of that mindfulness protect. So therefore, you make an effort mentally, physically, you make those efforts to arouse that mindfulness in order for you to keep the mind clear, present in that way. Yeah? So, so this mindfulness thing, is a wholesome mind. All yogis, when you come, is to make sure that you know how to arouse that mindfulness. If you do not know how to arouse that mindfulness, then what? Then you cannot start the whole vipassana meditation. You cannot start the whole vipassana meditation if you do not know how to arouse that mindfulness. So we use this walking, we use the sitting, and we also use the daily activities, the action like you're eating, even you're urinating, even you're combing your hair, even you change your clothing, even you do your laundry. And all these small things we take for granted in everyday life out there. Over here, every small little actions of yours becomes a practice of arousing that mindfulness. So the mindfulness, when we look into the mindfulness, is always, it keeps you in a wholesome state of mind. So that's why if you in the worldly sense, people use this mindfulness thing, then they overcome some anxiety, overcome some depression, and so on. Well, that is good. Not to say that is bad, because of the wholesomeness of the mind. But we're going, in the Buddhist context, we're going to use the mindfulness, we're going to apply the mindfulness in much more deeper sense, much more deeper than what the worldly ways that we are applying it. So now, before we look into all these different qualities, we have to define what is mindfulness first. Now, there are mindfulness, as in the Pali word sati. There are two meanings in it. One is to remember. That is to say, you remember your past events, past occasions, and so on. Then you remember. That's one quality. The second quality of mindfulness is presentness of mind. Okay? It's the presentness of mind. The presentness of mind here is the quality that we want to arouse it much more. Uh, uh, the quality of remembrance, to remember, it's the quality that normally when they are casual talking, daily life talking, the I mean in the northern India where they use the word, the Pali word, when they use the word sati, normally they use it for to remember. Can you recall back or not? When what did it happen or did it not happen? Uh, so remembering. So in the everyday life, we use that for this one. As a quality of mindfulness. Nowadays, also, of course, once a while, Buddhist devotees also use the the mindfulness thing as to remember. Sometimes you forget something. You forget something. Where do you put? Yeah, you see, not mindful. Yeah, something like that. So we use those type. We use those things as a connected to mindfulness. The second quality is the presentness that is what we want to arouse. Uh, we want to arouse the second quality. And that second quality is also very much connected to the first quality of mindfulness. Right? To the very much connected to the first quality. Because if you are being present, if you know, then you can remember. Like, for example, you study. If your mind is not present, then how to remember? Uh, so, so in a way that you need to be present. Uh, so we're going to bring that presentness in the much more deeper, not just in the everyday life only. Uh, now, in the everyday life too, there are also mindfulness arising here and there. Not that it's nothing at all. The mindfulness arises when we need to be more careful in life. We need to be more careful. Sometimes you need to deal with something sharp or deal with something very hot, like a hot boiling water. You have to be extra careful. You have to deal with. The Buddha gave the example of carrying a bowl of hot oil. Yeah? Carrying a bowl of hot oil. A man carries a bowl of hot oil passing through a group of people. And there in the group of people, there's one beautiful lady dancing. Dancing and dancing. So you must carry the oil pass through and you must not drop it. Because if you drop it, there's another bigger man with a bigger sword, with a huge sword, and it's going to chop onto your neck. Even you drop one drop. Yeah. So how a man supposed to go through those things? Then the mind has to be very careful, very alert. That type of alertness that he passed through the whole crowd with the lady dancing, not even a drop. So too, mindfulness is something like that. When we need to be more careful, then mindfulness arises. But our worldly mindfulness doesn't neither here, neither bring you here nor there. It's just for that occasion. You finish that part and then that's it. You relax back the mind. Uh, Whereas over here in meditation, we want to arouse that alertness. And to arouse that alertness, not only arousing it, we want to sustain it for a long period of time. Therefore, with that, the mindfulness can deepen, or the understanding or the knowledge can deepen. The vipassana will start to progress, in other words. So we need to have that arousing, and we arouse it, we need to sustain it. So we have this quality of mindfulness here and there in our everyday life, not that we don't have. Uh, uh, Now, we divide the mindfulness a little bit more. Yeah? There is a worldly mindfulness, and there is a enlightenment type of mindfulness. Okay? Worldly mindfulness, enlightenment type of mindfulness. When we say worldly mindfulness, it's a big area. Then there's an enlightenment type of mindfulness. That is to say, you arouse that mindfulness for the sake of enlightenment. That is just now earlier on that what I've said. But the thing is that the worldly mindfulness, it's huge area. It's huge. And the worldly in the sense that it does not get you out of cycle of birth and rebirth. Whereas the enlightenment one, it gets you out of birth and rebirth. That is two different things. That's why it has to be differentiated. Now, when you practice the Noble Eightfold Path correctly, then it falls under which one? It's supposed to be fall under the fourth one. Sorry. It's supposed to be fall under the second one. Fall under the second one. But a lot of us, we practice so-called Noble Eightfold Path, Noble Eightfold Path, but not going to reach anything noble. Just gong lah, chui gong only, mouth say only. A lot of us, but never really realized that the Noble Eightfold Path is actually finally is where you sit down, you walk, you pay attention. It's all the Noble Eightfold Path inside there. But anyway, don't worry about that. Now the thing is that the worldly mindfulness, the worldly mindfulness is a lot. It can be like just now the earlier example I talked about, when you have to be mindful in your everyday life, do this so that you can able to function properly. Good. And then there are also you be using that mindfulness for overcoming your sickness, mental sickness, depression, anxiety, and so on. Overcoming, managing pain of the body. Nowadays you see that the whole mindfulness things that they have all kinds of mindfulness for the sake of overcoming something in the everyday life. Nowadays, you can go for a mindfulness course also. And they give you certificate for it. And to do counseling with mindfulness and to train people with those things. MBSR, MBC, something I forgot now. Mindfulness-based consciousness, MBCT. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy or cognitive therapy. Mindfulness-based something else. I forgot. Anything, a lot of all this mindfulness thing, they go on. And if you are certified with it, you can go and teach all this mindfulness thing, and you earn more than what you are in your job, maybe right now. Big money, big money, huge money. And here we teach for free. So that is worldly things. Now, even you come to meditation also. If you do metta, if you do anapanasati, and so on, for the sake of jhana, let's say, for the sake of deep jhana, that is also falls under worldly, because that jhana still doesn't get you out of some cycle of birth and rebirth. But that type of mindfulness, it's already higher mindfulness than compared to the normal worldly mindfulness. That is already higher. If you practice metta, you practice compassion, you practice, in the sense of deepening the mind into absorption, into jhana, then it is still you need a lot of mindfulness. Not that you don't need mindfulness, you need a lot of mindfulness. It's just that the resultant doesn't get you out of samsara yet. Happier life, lah, much happier life, but not out of samsara. Then you have this mindfulness for enlightenment. So that is one thing. Now, mindfulness for enlightenment, good. Then we come down here. Here again, we can divide into two parts again. We can divide it into two parts. One part is the arousing of the mindfulness. The second part is the sustaining of the mindfulness. These two is crucial for your mental development. A lot of times, yogis, they know how to arouse, but they don't have the sustaining ability. They know how to arouse, how to walk, how to sit, but the sustaining part, they cannot do it. If you cannot able to sustain it, then progress will not go very far. So therefore, a lot of yogis come in, they meditate, practice. After 10 days or so, or 2 weeks or so, they are still mong cha cha about what is mindfulness go. It's still mong bong bong. Nothing is clear because one of the reason is that they don't really put effort into it. And one of the reason, when they say don't put effort into it, it's where the walking meditation is not properly done. Secondly, is the daily activities also not properly done. They only concentrate on the sitting meditation only. With that, then after a week or two, neither here nor there. So you have to make sure that you know what you are doing. So we want to arouse it. Then when we arouse it, then we are able to sustain it. First of all, let's look into the arousing part for today and tomorrow also. Now, the mindfulness is, as I said, the presentness of wholesomeness, and is being present right now. So that presentness of the mind is that we need to cultivate it again and again. Now, so if in your meditation, if you go into a lot of thinking and you're drowned into all the stories, that means you're not mindful anymore. You go into the forward, into planning and so on, you're not mindful anymore. You go into your memories of your past, you're also not mindful anymore. Even if you're thinking in the present about something in the present, hey, what noise is that now? Hey, what bird is that now? Who is talking? And then you start thinking about those things, that also means that you're not mindful also. You're not mindful too. You're already drowned into all the stories and all the thinking. And for beginners, it's going to take you maybe half an hour to come out from it, 10 minutes to come out from it. Then only you realize you're supposed to do a sitting meditation or walking. In fact, sometimes they walk, they see the squirrel. But the squirrel catch your mindfulness away. You forgot already. Over here, there's tons of squirrel. You want to take back some of them also can, if you can catch it. So the thing is that if you do all these type of things, means that there's no mindfulness anymore. Your mindfulness is already out. You are already distracted by your senses, the eyes, distracted by your hearing, distracted by the thoughts. Uh, so when it happens in that way, you're not mindful anymore. Okay? So when it happens, what should you do? You bring it back to the body again. If you remember, bring it back to the body again. Bring it back to the body. What happened in the body? What is in the rising and falling? Standing position, lifting, pushing, dropping, right step, left step. Uh, uh, so if those things happen to you, uh, then at least you must realize that you are not mindful. Okay? You must realize that that one is not mindful. Bangko kegao, and you think that you're smart enough. Oh, this is good now. I can still think about it. What squirrel, what species, what genus, what tree, what flower, what this and what that. Oh, you think you can all analyze by your intelligence. Those are not mindfulness. Those is your intelligence working on it, which will become a hindrance, big hindrance to the development of mindfulness. So those things you put aside, those thoughts you put aside. Uh, so as long as you begin to pay attention to the sensation of the body, rising, falling, sitting, touching, lifting, pushing, dropping, and so on, then you come back to the presentness of mind. Okay? You come back to the presentness of mind, specifically for the nature of vipassana meditation. Okay? So you have to come back to the body again and again. You run, your mind runs back again to the body. Runs again, you remember again, back again to the body. So in other words, that is to bring the mind back to the present moment again and again, here and now. So it's a very narrow sense of presentness, not in every form of, in every sense of just being present, you are there, you are mindful. Some people that I've heard, then they meditate, they sit down there in the garden, drink coffee, drink tea, watch the birds fly. Oh, I'm present. Present or not present. Mindful or not? Oh, mindful. Birds flying. There, the birds flying. The birds is happening in the present moment, so I'm mindful. Yeah. You're not going to develop any form of development. If you do like this type of mindfulness, or you so-called mindfulness, that's not the way of vipassana. The vipassana way of vipassana, you come back to the body. You come back to the body, you take note of the sensation of the body. Okay? So that we have to make this thing clear. So if you're a beginner, again, if you cannot remember, what is mindfulness, then you ask yourself once in a, hey, where is the mind right now? Am I here at the rising and falling? Am I at the pain? Am I at the lifting, pushing, dropping? Am I at the right step, left step? Simple, isn't it? But how many times you lost your mindfulness today? Countless of times. You go into sleep in your sitting. You go into a lot of thinking. You go into all kinds of mental distraction. So it's not easy just to stay for the mind to be in the present. So if you are not very sure with what is mindfulness, then you ask yourself, am I in the body? Am I at the pain? Am I at the feelings? Am I here? Am I present right now? So you ask yourself. Then if you ask yourself, sometimes it kind of like trigger off that mindfulness. It trigger off for the mind to stay in the present. And then it'll be very good. So every now and then you have that, self-checking. So you have that self-checking, then it'll be very helpful for you as a beginner, especially because you are not so familiar with the nature of that mindfulness. So those people who are more into this meditation, they are much more familiar with it. They don't really have to ask this type of question. Yeah. So when you're being Mindful as being a state of being present. So again and again, you arouse that mindfulness. Then again, the next one about this mindfulness is that you must also um, be heightenedly conscious, uh, heightened alertness, uh, heightened awareness. Uh, it's not just everyday type of awareness. Mindfulness is a heightened type. That means, for example, earlier on I said, you do things more carefully. You do things more precisely, more clearly. That is heightened. You heighten up that awareness. So the heighten up that awareness, it's mindfulness. So therefore, when you come into your walking meditation, sitting meditation, you have to heighten up that awareness. Now, in the walking meditation, you will see that the heightened type of awareness, you develop it from a little bit from walking, first phase, then it becomes stronger in the second phase, it becomes stronger in the third phase because you try to really pay attention to the whole lifting, pushing, dropping. So the heightened awareness grows with it. Uh, so in the sitting meditation, the heightened awareness for the first few days is not easy to come yet. But it takes you about 5 days, 6 days, maybe a week before you really notice something. Uh, uh, in the meantime, while you are here, you also have to extend your mindfulness into all the daily activities too. Especially like you're sitting while you're eating or you're taking your food. So that time when you're sitting down, then as you scoop, put your attention there, scooping, 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 scooping. And put it in your mouth. Then slowly put your hands down, and then you start chewing, 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 chewing. And feel the sensation, hard or soft, or sometimes the food is moving to the left, right, or circulating inside there. What is going on? You pay attention to it. So if you do in that way, you begin to heighten up the awareness, heighten up that clarity. So then you develop mindfulness, you arouse that mindfulness. So again, after that, you're able to swallow it. You know that you are swallowing until you don't feel anything. Then again, you scoop again, slowly you scoop again, and then continue that process. Do it again and again. So the time that mindfulness will become stronger, clearer, more, it's getting more and more each day. So if you don't do that, if you don't make an effort to do this, then development is just like that, only lah. So you make sure you make the effort. You make the effort. So the nature of this mindfulness, when you make the effort to alert, to heightenedly aware, then also correspondingly, on the opposite of discussion, is that we use the word non-floating, non-superficial, non-superficial. Heightened awareness, non-superficial. Although it's a change of words, but at least you also must know. Because sometimes yogis do meditation superficially. That means they are not really pay attention. For example, there are yogis who go into meditation. When they do their walking meditation, is they walk up, walk down, walk up, walk down, walk around the temple, walk around the garden. Then the time for sitting, they come to sit. That is not, that is superficial. That is superficial. You eat now, for example, let's say you eat, but then you eat slowly lah. You eat slowly. but your mind is elsewhere. You're just aware a little bit. But you slowly, everybody thought that you are mindful, but your mind everywhere. So it superficial. Yeah, superficial. Yeah. Sometimes they sit meditation, they do meditation sitting down, so the same thing. They watch rising and falling, watch rising and falling, but they are watching rising, falling, not really truly pay attention to it. They just song, rise, fall. At least they can see rising and falling. But then the way they notice rising and falling is just up, down, up, down. Then when the teacher asks the yogi, anything else or not in the rising and falling? No, just up, down, up, down, up, down. Anything else? Got long, short, fast, slow, anything? Nothing like that, only. Superficial. They thought that they can have, I mean, if you can able to pick that up in the beginning of the practice, it's good. But you cannot just stay like that. It's not enough. And you've got to see it more clearly. What happened to the rising and falling? Is it getting longer, getting shorter? Does it stop there? Does it go one? Sometimes it go two rising, falling. It could, no, sorry, two rising or two falling, three rising, one falling. What happened to it? You got to see it more clearly, not just rise and fall, song only. Or sometimes they note the pain. They note the pain. Superficially, how they note the pain. The pain is strong. The pain is strong, but they note the pain far away. Pain, the pain. They don't want to feel the pain because when you go near, very painful. So they note pain. That's how what we call superficially. Is superficially. That means the mindfulness is not going to come up. Or deep mindfulness is not going to come up. There's a little bit, not to say there's none, because your mind is still, in a way, still present. Not to say it's not present, but kind of like that only. So far away. Yeah. Your job is to make sure that you bring it right to your face there. To note it. Yes. Okay. Later, that one. Later. Now, as I said that you see all my thoughts all gone already. What was it? Superficial, yes, so superficial. So as I said, when you note your object, you have to note it clearly and precisely. When you watch your rising and falling, you just learn to feel it. This time you don't worry about whether it's stomach or whether this is rising or falling. All you need to do is just put your attention there. As it's something that is moving there, either here or here a little bit, it's okay. It's perfectly all right. As long as something is moving. As long as something is moving, you pay attention to it. That means you're in the correct path already. Don't have to be here. Sometimes some people want a bit up here. Some people want a bit people pop up here. Doesn't matter as long as something is moving there. So don't think about it whether it's stomach, whether thing is this thing is that. As long as you pay attention to it, is rising, you learn it rising. And put all your thinking, everything aside. Just note it precisely. So if you note it in that way, you note it more with heightened awareness, more clarity. So if you do that, that will be good. That'll be very good. Okay. Now, this I mean non-superficial. There's a Pali term for it. That's called apilana. The word apilana here, Pali word, is translated as non-floating. Non-floating. The word is floating. So they want to give the rise the understanding is like your mindfulness is like not floating on the surface, not superficial. In other words, it has to be drop down deep into it, sink into it onto your object. So therefore, with this understanding, also it comes with what we call the function of mindfulness. The nature of the function of mindfulness is to bring your mind close to the object. The nature of mindfulness is to bring the mind close to the object. Once it's close to the object, I mean, that's the whole that's what mindfulness do, in that sense. It close to the object. Then all other mental factors that earlier on that talk about concentration, about investigation of the mind, an investigation of the Dhamma and effort and joy, then those factors will work upon the object. Uh, Again, let me repeat now. The nature of mindfulness is to bring everything of the mind to go close to the object. Say this is your rising and falling. You go close to your object. Then when you go close to your object, then other mental factors will start to scrutinize the object. Then when it starts to scrutinize the object, stabilize the object, then all the understanding and deeper understanding begin to rises. Okay, so there's the nature of function of mindfulness, one of it. So if it comes here, then it's good. Because it it uh, it goes near to the object. So there'll be a lot of times we're going to mention this word confronting, face to face. Is the word that we use to describe mindfulness, because it is its function, its nature is to go close to it and to able to stay with it. Well, now, also with this mindfulness, also as you begin to go close to it now, then what happens is that even the Pali, not the Palis, I Pali, but I forgot that word. The English word is called guarding. It begins to guard. Guard what? It guard your senses. Yeah. When the mindfulness is strong enough, then you begin to see that your senses are not affected when it's something like some strong sensory object that comes in contact with your ear or your eyes or your thoughts. Yeah? Say, for example, especially when you are doing lifting, pushing, dropping carefully, and you really pay attention to it, then sometimes you may hear something. You hear, but your mind is not distracted enough. The mind aware of it, and it is already back to the object of your walking already. It's already back to the object. You walk. Thoughts arises. He knows the thought arises, but it doesn't fall into this one. It's already come back to the walking again. In other words, when the mindfulness is strong, it protects the mind, it guards the mind. It doesn't go into all kinds of imagination, whether this is stomach lah, whether this is intestine lah, whether this is what, and so on and so forth. It's just learn to guard the mind properly, and and therefore when it guards the mind, then the mind doesn't get, other word, distracted with it. We'll see this type of guarding of the senses. It becomes stronger and stronger as you begin to develop further into the meditation. Then you'll see that the meditation starts to pick up a lot. And that's where slowly and slowly your mindfulness is able to sustain a little bit more longer. Yeah. All right. We stop here for tonight. Then we'll continue tomorrow night at the same time. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, before I forget. Tomorrow we'll start the interview for a few of you. Only a few of you, not all yet. Huh? I will print out the interview list tonight. Then maybe by tonight I'll paste it up there. Or tomorrow breakfast I'll paste it up there. Only I think for the ladies only, not for the men yet. For the ladies only. Some ladies, some female yogis only. All right, so we share merits right now. Idang me bhavanam nibbanasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of nibbana. Imang no punya bhagang sabba satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sape satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu.